As Padraig Walsh joins us now, welcome. So give Padraig a round of applause.
Padraig.
With his lovely little black jacket, like me.
I think a lot of people, it's not everyone that looks forward to Christmas, right? Because it can be a time you kind of dread, you know? Especially when you've people that have moved out of home and they have to come back and face the relatives with the invasive questions when you get married, when you're having a kid, all that. So talk to me about it. How do we avoid those questions without causing a big scene?
Well, even going back to Christmas itself, I said at the top that there's 3 weeks to go, you know? And it's one of those times where our feelings can be incongruent with how the world is telling us we should feel. Like we were saying, it's dark, it's cold, it's wet outside. We've got to buy our presents. We're stuck inside. You mentioned you're going back home. So there can be parts of this that are really stressful. Yet the world keeps telling us, be happy, be merry, be jolly, be joyful. So that can really grate on us, you know, and that's why we talk about stress here. Now you mentioned going back home or you know, meeting people you haven't seen in a long time. And I made the analogy before that we're like houseplants, you know, like houseplants, you plant them in a little pot, and if you're really good, you remember that after a while they need to be moved into a bigger pot. I never remember to do it, June, you know, they always just die. But you move them into a bigger pot, and that's what we're like. We outgrow our home circumstances and we grow into bigger pots, and we expand our own identity and ourselves.
Say, for example, if you are in someone's house Christmas Day and the person is being passive-aggressive, how do you almost take back control of that scenario, but in a way also stay focused? Don't lose it. Straight
in for the questions, because we've got too big and now we're back into this space. So these 3 weeks are a really good preparation time for us, because if we're expecting somebody to grate on us, if we're expecting loads of questions to be grating on us, or we're not going to get on with somebody, there's this thing called the self-fulfilling prophecy, where if we expect something to happen, we're going to act in a way that we're almost going into that house waiting for that invasive question, or waiting for somebody to grate on us.
Like our fight or flight.
Yeah, we're like, oh, so these 3 weeks are our chance to prepare. Okay, maybe there's going to be some curiosity in these questions. Maybe somebody's actually just asking the question out of, you know, wonderment or interest in our lives. So we don't always jump to the fact that it might be their personality, it might be them trying to be passive-aggressive to rile us up. So we take that time. Now, always, when we're coming into Christmas, be aware of self-care. But we'll come to that.
Yeah, how important is allowing silence in a conversation? Would never happen in our house, June, because we're all mad. But how important, and everyone's always over-talking, but silence actually can be quite a good thing, though, Padraig.
You're asking for a friend, I guess.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I'll catch you.
But silence does. And in fact, when we look at, I love studying the psychology of conversations, because that's what we so much rely on, is conversations for us to connect. And you know, sometimes you have a conversation, you go, why did that not land? Why is it that this feels awkward? You know, and you can't sometimes explain it. But when they study listeners in a conversation, and you know, I'm talking with you, when somebody takes that moment of silence, for the person talking, it actually feels like, oh, hold on, you're actually listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That silence is really important. And it doesn't have to signal anything else other than I'm here, I'm interested, and I'm listening. So that's silent. In fact, the word silent, you remember Countdown Conundrums? If you fill those words around, it means it also can, the same letters are in silent.
Yeah.
Listen and silent are the same. I really delivered that badly, didn't I?
Yeah. Anyway, catch the next question there.
You mentioned about never being able to get a word in.
Yes.
Sounds like my family. I'm a middle child. We're always fighting for attention.
June's Christmas is
like I'm fighting for attention. Right? You get it, right? So is it true that we revert back to old family dynamics regardless of our age?
It happens to all of us, June.
Yeah.
You know, we go back to our childhood selves. That environment, that dynamic, old grudges start to re-emerge as well. And like the plants, we've grown and we've become too big for the space, both physically and psychologically. So when we go back into that setting, because of the tradition, because of you mentioned you're a middle child, that has a huge impact, because we're going, well, what does the eldest child, what did they grow up with, and what do they expect even now as an adult? Yeah. And those kind of things can re-emerge at Christmas time, when we're all in that enclosed space, when we're all having to, you know, spend a lot of time with each other, and particularly spending time indoors. I find it, I'm a much more outdoorsy person, but I find indoors can add to stress as well.
June, let me ask you, any advice diffuse family quarrels over Christmas?
Well, the thing is, we just don't invite anybody anymore, and that's kind of solved the problem. I know, seriously. I must say, when we get together, like with my grandnieces and nephews and all that kind of stuff, we do have good old fun.
Yeah.
But now Peter, because I work over Christmas, just Peter and I are at home with the doggies.
But that can be nice as well.
It is. I love it.
You're choosing your
Totally.
piece.
I love it, yeah.
We just said there at the start, Padraig, Katia said that Christmas is a time for joy. It's a time for love. Those that are lucky, we get to spend it with our families. Yeah. You know, my mum's not alive anymore, and at Christmas, I find myself missing her so much. A lot of people grieve and are so sad around Christmas. Any advice for anyone grieving this Christmas?
Christmas is one of those times where tradition and ritual and reflection is so prominent. So at that period, at that time, you're going to spend more time, like you mentioned about your mum, remembering people who aren't with us anymore. And that period of Christmas, we have that opportunity to reflect on it. But the tradition part is something that crops up. And we go, oh, this reminds me of that person. And where you have family together, it's really important that we support each other at that point in time, you know?
Padraig, is it important, I suppose, for those at home that want to support loved ones that have suffered a loss, is it important to acknowledge that loss and talk about it?
It depends on the person, Katia. Some people are very comfortable discussing it. And you mentioned about silence and space. You know, sometimes it's really comforting just to have somebody in your space.
In your presence,
And not necessarily talking, not necessarily asking loads of questions, but just there and saying, I'm here to listen if you want. You can talk if you wish. You can bring it up. But if not, that's cool as well.
It can be a very emotional time. I find Christmas, like on Christmas morning, I don't turn on the radio because once I hear the carols, the lip is gone because, like you say, your mum and dad, my mum and dad aren't around anymore, Peter's mum and dad, and all those lovely memories that we had. You know, but it's great that we have those memories to think about, but it's still sad.
We're also very lucky we got to experience that love.
Yes.
On a lighter note, Christmas is also gifting. Gifting and Christmas, they're synonymous with each other. There's actually a lot of stress on people. It can also stress people out. Anything we can do to alleviate that stress when it comes to gifting at Christmas, Padraig?
I always love having the conversation about gifts because I don't get this thing about, you know, should we or shouldn't we talk about what you would like for Christmas?
Yes, we should definitely talk about it. You should ask me in June.
Wish lists. I'm all about
You're all about wish lists.
You don't want to be disappointed.
Last year, I looked into this in great detail.
Don't ruin this gifting thing with me.
No, but we find that when gifters are interviewed, they think that what they need is to have an expensive gift that is a surprise. But when they interview people who are receiving gifts, they want something that is thoughtful, cheap, and practical for them. So there's a complete misalignment here. So how do you get people to align? You get them to talk, and particularly for your loved ones, talk about what you'd like. Be explicit as much as you can to avoid
gifts
waste.
don't need to be expensive.
No, they don't.
They definitely don't.
100%.
Now, I don't even have a CD player, and my sister got me a Beyonce CD. Do I play it? It's just there, just standing there. Was delighted. Best gift I ever received. Now, Padraig, I have to ask you this, right? Body language when receiving gifts. Because we do Secret Santa at home, and everyone's sort of watching each other. How can you tell if someone doesn't like the gift they got?
I can't answer that, Katia. Obviously, I can't give those kinds of details away. But you know yourself, what's the worst gift that you ever got?
There's talent signs.
Go on. What was the ones that you found?
It's always my face, but it's not about me. I want to know about you, like body language, like.
If I give away what I look like when I get a gift I don't like. No, what you usually find is people are less interested in the gifts that they will get. There will always be, because there's so many social mores or social rules around gifting, that we open it in front of the person, we thank them for the gift, and we do a little bit of playing with it, and then we put it away. If you notice somebody not enthused about it. But also, like, gifts are there to be used, to be enjoyed, and like I would always say, experiences. If you can buy an experience, a gift to a show, perhaps, June.
There we go.
You know, tickets to a show.
Absolutely. Have tickets here now.
And what a great way to end it on such a positive. Go to June's show for Christmas. Thank you, Padraig.